I'd like to welcome you to the Summers County Board of Education regular meeting, September 10th, 2024, 6 p.m. Let the minutes reflect that all board members are present, with Mrs. Farley joining us by phone. I'd like to ask Mrs. Harvey if she would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, item 3, we have approval of agenda and adjustments.
Make a motion that we pull RT Rogers from the bills to be paid separately.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mr. McBride to pull RT Rogers from the bills and handle that separately. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that we will pull RT Rogers from the bills and handle that separately.
Make a motion.
I would like to, go ahead.
Sorry, the head middle school boys basketball coach. We voted on separately.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that we pull Kenneth Harshaw, head middle school basketball coach, out and handle that separately under personnel. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that we will pull Ken Harshaw out and handle that separately.
I would like to make a motion under personnel, extra duties, that we pull Jimmy Farley, Joe Farley, and Benji Farley out separately.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mrs. Farley, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that we pull under personnel Jimmy Farley, Joe Farley, and Benji Farley out and handle those separately. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that we will, under personnel, pull Jimmy Farley, Joe Farley, and Benji Farley out and handle those separately.
Okay, I would like to make a motion that we amend item 9C. I'd like to change the trip from trip for FFA convention to Indianapolis. Change the dates from the 23rd to the 18th to the 27th. And it's an out-of-state trip, and I'd like to change it from employee to just overnight trips. There'll be employees and students on that. And then for the second one, I'd like to add the FFA trip to Cedar Lakes, which will be October the 2nd through October the 3rd, and that will be an overnight trip.
All right, Mr. McBride, see if I get this right. So we're going to amend 9C. We're going to change that to discussion or possible action to approve out-of-state overnight trip. And the date on that will be October 18th, 27th for the FFA convention in Indianapolis,
Right.
and Cedar Lake, October 2 and 3.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. McBride.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by Mr. Brogan, to amend 9C to discussion or possible action, approve out-of-state overnight FFA trip, October 18th through the 27th for the FFA convention in Cedar Lakes, October 2nd and 3rd. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Aye. Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote, with myself abstaining, that motion to amend 9C has been approved. Is there any other adjustments?
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda with the aforementioned changes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we approve the agenda with the aforementioned adjustments. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the agenda has been approved with the aforementioned adjustments. Right, item 4, presentations. We have Ms. Holt here.
I don't see Nicole.
Okay,
Dr. Green, is she not leave?
okay.
Sounds like a lot of people. A lot of people are unwell. Well, we can move to the next.
Postpone her till the next meeting. All right, the next presentation we have is defined learning. Nikki?
Well, how are you?
How are you?
Good. I'm gonna give you to the audience here in just 1 second.
Perfect.
That's the-
You can hear me, okay?
Yes, I mean, I can, yeah. I'm just gonna leave you right here, to be honest with you.
Perfect.
Here's the board members. All right.
Okay.
Hey, Nikki.
Hello.
Hello.
Maybe, I can have the board members real quick tell you who you are, but I'll start with the president here, Mr. Angel, so you kind of know who the group is. Hello. And Jay McBride, vice president. Kenny Brogan, member. Megan Harvey, member. And on the phone is Renee Farley. She is not feeling well, so she's in my phone. She can hear you.
Okay, perfect. And I'm happy to send, the slide deck and demo access, anything that you need after so that she can take a peek at it too.
That'd be great. Just send it to me or Chad and we'll forward it to the board members. That'd be great. But I told her she's got about 10 minutes to go over defined learning. She was at an ESC meeting. Mr. Angel, I don't know if you were part of it. So you know a little bit about this. Okay. I don't want to insult your intelligence. Okay. So Mr. Angel was there, but I wanted the rest of the board to see about it, hear about it. And we did get a pretty good deal, brokering it through the ESC. So, anyway, go ahead, Nikki, the floor is yours.
Sure, perfect. I'm gonna share my screen and give you a little slideshow to start, just to kind of talk through. So can everyone see okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, well, I appreciate you all having me. I will be brief and just kind of give you, the basis of what we do and why we do what we do. But, I'll give you a little bit of the why at Defined and then how that aligns with, your why at Summers County. Just give you a brief overview of what we do with our Defined ecosystem. Show you what some of those partnership options look like, and then give you a chance to ask any questions if you have any. But just to give you a little background about me, I'm a former educator of 13 years. I taught elementary ed and special education as well before I came over to Defined. And I want to start with the why. So, I want to start with this because I want to talk about why we do what we do, but also, how that aligns to your mission at Summers County. Your goals are very much aligned with ours in that, we really want to prepare students for their futures and really help them to be ready with those employment skills while still being able to target, those foundational skills. So that is what our goal is at Defined. So, how do we do that? How do we teach students and teach them to the individual student and make sure that we help them meet their individual life goals? So, at Defined, we believe that it really starts as early as kindergarten, providing students with real world learning opportunities, projects that are going to drive student engagement, critical thinking, 21st century skills, and really exposing them to what all the possibilities are that are out there. When I was a teacher, it was really hard to, answer the question when students would say, why are we learning what we're learning? This is what Define does. It helps them make those connections, right? And it really levels the playing field to show them all the possibilities that there are with their future. It's cheesy, but we say you can't be what you can't see, and it really is true. So just to kind of give you an overview of what our ecosystem does, we have Define Learning and Define Careers, as well as Define Goals. Define Learning is really how teachers can target career-connected learning while still targeting all those academics. So it is a library that's going to have 1,000+ projects. What's wonderful is they're all aligned to your state standards, but also your grade bands and your units of study. So it's very easy for any educator, new, seasoned, a substitute, anyone to come in and choose from all those project options. They're fun, they're engaging for the students, and they're all done with real world scenarios to help them start understanding what their interests are and where their future might lie. We have those computer science requirements that we meet as well that you have in West Virginia. The projects are cross-curricular, and they're really great for transferring that application of knowledge. It's a really great performance-based assessment. Define Goals, which is our other platform, they work together, is instead of being aligned to all the state standards and those academics, that is all rooted in specifically those career clusters and those pathways. Both of the platforms are K-12 since they do work together, but you do on the Define Careers middle and high school side have a lot more target towards, that specific student pathway work with CTE or, career development. There's pathway matching assessments they can take, aptitude assessments. There's 600+ day in the life of courses that are also going to have that project aspect, that PBL aspect. So the students have a hands-on experience, not just exposure to the career, but a day in the life of, if you will. We also have virtual internships, which are awesome. They're one of my favorite pieces. They're in all 16 clusters. And then there's additional pieces with post-secondary planning, financial literacy, soft skills. And then Define Goals is how we can do custom catalogs. So, our partnerships with every district are unique, and that's how we want it to be. They should not look the same. So we can create custom catalogs for you as a district to align specifically to goals that you're targeting, or if you're working on specific future ready skills, like something like collaboration, critical thinking, all of that can be done in a custom plan for you. So I'm gonna just give you a couple of our notable partnerships. We are in close to 10,000 schools nationwide. We are statewide in Tennessee, Connecticut, and in Oklahoma. So those are some exciting pieces, but really starting to build that footprint in West Virginia. We went through the whole bidding RFP process with SESC, and we are ready to begin our work in West Virginia. So we're super excited to, start to partner with you all. So I'm gonna, instead of walking you through everything, I'm just gonna kind of show you what one project looks like so you can see. This is what the educators see when they log in. They have the whole course library all aligned to, all those core content areas and units of study. So let's say you're teaching math, you have your whole library K through 12. You're not beholden to a certain, grade band or subject. You have access to all of it. And like I said, I taught elementary ed, and there really is just the importance of starting this from little feet on. So I'm going to dive into 2-3 just to kind of show you how we can really align what the students are learning to careers and help them understand, why they're learning what they are. So that teacher teaching second or third grade math can go in and they have 25 project options, and they're all aligned, like I said, to the standards, but also here to those units of study. So as the teachers are going through, it's very easy for them to, find a project. Let's say we're working on shapes and measurables. Here's all their project options, and the projects are the careers that they're embarking on. So this is a way for the teacher to really get those students excited about these careers while understanding why they're learning about shapes and measurable attributes. In the projects, there's all kinds of supports, alignment to the standards. There's fun products that the students create with rubrics ready to go for those teachers. Anything they would need is already right here, ready to go. So they don't have to do any project planning. It's all already made. But there's all kinds of interactive videos. There's real world connections that explain how career professionals use these skills in their day-to-day job. And then every project follows this GRASP model that gives them a hypothetical role, a goal, an audience, and a situation. So I'll just play you this so you can kind of get a piece, but you'll see how these would be in every project, and it introduces the student to what they're going to be working on.
Your goal is to make sure all of the campers are having fun. Also very safe during the campground's raft ride. Your role is the activity director for a campground. You need to ensure everyone is safe when they are participating in the campground recreations. Your audience are the campers who will be riding the rafts, as well as the school leader who is paying for the raft rentals. And here's your situation. Rafting is about experiencing the outdoors in a unique way. It is a fantastic way to experience the outdoors. Rafting trips are enjoyable for adults and older children as well. Today, 8 students from a class trip are going to rent rafts. You will need to determine how to safely fill each raft without overloading it. So your job is to ensure that the rafting trip is not only fun for all of the students, most importantly, safe for everyone.
So that's just a piece of part of the project, but you know, all of the supports will be housed within here, and the students then have everything that they need, as well as the teacher, in terms of helpful vocabulary, constructive responses, rubrics, and then they have those fun products to create in all of the projects. So that's one in defined learning, and I always like to show one at the elementary level because it really helps you see, you know, how you can align what those students are learning to those careers. They're all age appropriate, of course. So as you move up to middle school and high school, they're going to be, you know, more age appropriate for those students. And then when you look at the Defined Careers platform, you've got that, you know, really heavy career focus instead of that academic alignment. So I shared a few different options with Dave. We have special pricing through our partnership with SESC that gives some significant discounts for options. And then we also even still do further discounts for small schools. So I know you have 2 buildings in the elementary that are under 200 students. So those are even further discounted. We do multi-year partnerships. But you know, there's some options, but you can see what the, you know, savings are with what those discounts are. So there's some pretty good options there, but always, you know, willing to discuss whatever is best for the district. And that is where I'm going to leave it with you and let you ask any questions, you know, or get any feedback if there's anything, you know, you want to hear more from me.
I wrote down several questions during your presentation, but then you ended up answering them all. Except for, I'm just curious, is this an additional program for teachers to try to fit in their day? Or does it replace certain programs or curriculums that they're currently using?
Sure, great question. So it is, we do not ever say that we are a, you know, full curriculum. Teachers would still be teaching, you know, multiplication, division, shapes and measurables the way that they would in a math class or, you know, life science. But what it really is great for is it's a way to help the students make those connections to the careers, and it's a great performance-based assessment. So it's something that many districts, what they do with us is they weave one into each unit of study. Of course, you don't have to be that aggressive with it. You could do less, you can do more. It's totally up to the educator in the district. But it's meant to be, you know, as like a performance-based assessment to really bring in that career exposure.
You said you were an educator.
I was an educator, yes, for 13 years. I taught elementary ed, and then I taught special ed as well.
So as an elementary educator, how
much, time would you, in a normal week, utilize this in your classroom if this were an option for you?
It was a little hard to hear you. Did you say how much would I utilize it if I was an educator in my classroom?
What, would you use it, say, 30 minutes a day, an hour a week? How would you see that working into your daily routine?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. So, the projects are really flexible with how much time you spend on them. You could make them as short as like an hour of work. You could spread them out to be more to like 3 to 5 hours per project because there's quite a few components in it. So students are creating those products. So sometimes they're building a 3D model, or they're doing a cost analysis in math, or a room redo for geometry. So depending on how much time the students are really getting their hands dirty and working together, takes up what I would say is most of the project. So it would really depend. As a teacher, my answer would be I would pivot to how into it the kids are, how much fun they're having, let them, really work on those products and understand those careers. But I would say a guess would be I would do one every unit of study if feasible. So I would say that's like, I don't know, one every 2 weeks, let's say, or 3 weeks. We have districts that do like one a quarter. We have other districts that do them more like, every 2 weeks. We have others that will, really do a content alignment, and we will pick like 5 to 10 that they're going to do for the whole year. So in my classroom, I would try to weave it in as much as I can for that career exposure, but all customizable based on your needs.
Would that be an introduction to the course content, or would that be used at the end to tie it all together, bring it all together for the student?
Say the beginning of the question again. I'm sorry.
Let me get that.
Nikki, would you use it towards the beginning or towards the end of a lesson, like a culmination or an introduction?
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
Is that the question?
That's it. oh, it's over here.
It would definitely be used as a culminating activity. That would be wonderful. You also could do it at the beginning to get the kids excited. You really have the flexibility with that, but typically it's used more of as a culminating activity. And then what's fun about it too is for each of those units of study, you have quite a few options, right? So what I would do as a teacher, and what a lot of districts like to do, is they let the kids pick based on interest. Like they'll say, what career do we want to do this time? What do you think would be a fun project? Or if the teacher doesn't want to open it up that much and they know they really want to target one of them based on what the products are, what they're working towards, then the students still have some voice and choice with the products they're creating, because there's always anywhere from 2 to 4. So it really helps teach to the child, as opposed to just, here's the unit, here's what we have to learn, and now we're done and we're moving on. It helps them really apply those skills, make the connection to that real world, and then also like be excited and engaged because they have that choice, right? But yeah, culminating project is a great way to do it. But you, like I said, you could do it in the beginning as well as kind of like an exploratory, hey, we're going to start this unit. I think it would depend on what the topic is, right? If it was something that was more like multiplying and dividing, you'd obviously want to do that towards the end once they're more familiar with how that works, right? As opposed to something like shapes and measurables, you could do it as an intro project.
Mr. McBride has a question, but he's too shy to ask. Does that price include professional development? If people want to learn how to use the program, or is that an add-on?
No, your partnership options that I just highlighted is including professional development for you. Yes. I put, based on our conversations, Dave, I did it with virtual. You do have the option to do in person. It's just a little bit more costly because you're, sending folks over there. So for travel, but that includes your professional learning. Those are virtual. There's virtual sessions with the educators. There's times where they can check in, and then there's further training as well. All of that is included. And then we have a whole, our whole partner experience team that works together. And so teachers, if they ever have a question, they have someone that's always on hand to be able to ask, talk to. If there's, you know, a new teacher that comes in mid-year, they'll be able to get on and have a special, you know, training walkthrough. So we support them along the way. You know, it really is a partnership from start to finish, whether that be 1 year or 5 years. And we check in all throughout the year and support them with, you know, what their goals are. And we also, you know, love sharing ideas. We have a ton of educators on staff at Define, so we kind of work together with them, and it makes it a fun experience.
And so, what does the professional development look like? And what's the ramp up time to get this launched and implemented?
Yeah, so great question. The ramp up time is pretty much immediate. We have a ton of trainers on staff, and so we can pivot as quickly as, you know, if we partner with the district and they say, hey, we would love to do our first professional learning next week, we can put in the request. And I don't want to say promise, but typically they have a pretty quick turnaround with being able to schedule those. So not an issue. You just tell us what day, time, how many teachers, and then, you know, we get that set up for you. The professional learning that I put on the partnership is virtual professional learning. So of course, you know, we obviously do overview of the platform, the ins and outs of how it looks and how it works. But then what we really dive into too is what I was just talking about a little bit, is really customizing the experience for the educators. So you can do it with all the teachers. You can choose like a resident group of experts. If you don't want everybody to be involved, you could have, you know, like your core teachers, or kind of like a cohort in a way of teachers that are going to do that training. But it really goes deep into, you know, the purpose, the design, the implementation of what Define Learning will be like in the classroom. We talk about, you know, that GRASP model that you saw, where the students get that goal, that role, that audience and situation. And then the facilitators really dive into, you know, how to customize it, how to customize a task if they want to, how to customize it then as well with aligning it with what your goals are for the year, helping students really understand how to use it as a formative and summative assessment. And then, you know, tailoring it to whatever else they want to touch upon, right? Be it maybe picking a task that they want to use, or, you know, just diving deep into, you know, customizing you know, where they'd like to use it. So that's kind of what all the professional learning would do. But again, that also includes, you know, check-ins as well. If there's anything they need at any other time, they're not beholden to just those specific times when they have those professional learning scheduled too.
Thank you.
Well, I know you want a presentation. So I'm going to ask you anyway, though, did you have any questions? You're ready. Okay. Okay. Yeah, if you can send, you said you had some slides you could send. Well,
yeah, I can send you those slides that I just shared. And then I can also, I've sent Dave in the past, I have like a West Virginia specific page that has some sample projects on there from, you know, both. So you can kind of see what some look like in Define Learning versus Define Careers. And then it has our pricing on there. And then it has your partnership as well, options on that slide deck. So I will send both of those.
all right, thank you for your time.
Okay, great. Well, it was so nice to meet you all. I appreciate it. And Dave, feel free to share my contact info. If there's any other questions that come up or anything, I'm available anytime. And I would be happy to, you know, reconnect and share more if there's anything you need from me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good evening.
Next presentation is Roger Hartman.
I told Roger that you guys were ecstatic to see him tonight, so I don't know if you want to do the wave or whatever, but I know Roger gets here real early, so he might be half asleep. I'm glad he at least smiled. He's been a great asset as the clerk of works to keep an eye on things. So I told him to give you guys an overview, but to be ready to answer any questions that you guys may have. And I said, just tell them up front what you've observed and what you've seen and how soon we'll be done with this. Does that work for you, Roger?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm flexible.
So when will the gym be
Thank you all
finished?
for having me. It's been a while since my last time coming in front of you folks, talking with you. I believe, the last time we met, we were on a big set tour at Campbell. But I look forward to that again, should you like to do that in the near future. Show you a little difference than the last time. There, on the speaker.
Okay, I can talk a little louder. First of all, if some of you in the audience don't know, this project first kicked off October the 3rd, 2022. In fact, I remember that date because at the time I was with the primary contractor, Radford and Radford. And we started, as they say, digging dirt. In essence, where the middle school stands now, plus 10 feet outside the exterior walls, we removed 5.3 feet of earth, unsuitable soil, as it was titled by engineering. And we replaced it with engineered soil, come from a burrow pit a couple of miles down the road and up a hollow. The only thing was, it took a while to put the new engineered dirt or approved dirt in. Was 9-inch layer by specification from design, compacted. It had to achieve a certain percentage moisture rate, compaction rate, another 9 inches. So divide that into 5.3 feet. In my opinion, it was probably the wrong time of year to do earthwork because with the winter weather, in fact, the contractor lost some time and they applied for, and by contractual terms, they were able to achieve an additional 22 days due to lost time weather conditions. And you can't move earth or you can't compact dirt if it's snow or rain and whatever. So anyway, a little bit of a delay, but they got it done. First concrete, I'm moving along here a little bit, the first concrete placed on this project, it was on, sorry, I had to look at my note, March 15th of 2023. And it was the footers for where now stands the 8th grade classrooms, those 2 classrooms and the electrical and mechanical room. Reason I remember that date, that was my first day on the job as your clerk of the works. I had left Radford and Radford due to some health reasons, and it turned out to be not as bad as what I thought. But anyway, I'm here. Today, this will mark my 384th day as your clerk of the works, and consequently doing a daily report, number 384 today. As we all are aware, the classrooms, the 6th, 7th, and 8th are occupied. I believe that started, if I'm not incorrect, 26th of August. The classrooms were ready. There have been small items to do. For example, the glass write-on boards and the bulletin boards, they had to be installed after the students went home for the day. So the contractor started their day at 4 o'clock and worked and did the following day, a few days after that. There are some, what we call in the business, punch list items, small items. From what I have done the punch list, been through a few of those, and anyway, basically the punch list are items such as touch-up painting, a couple of the door frames, exterior from the hallway side. In fact, 3 were dented during the construction, and so those are being reworked, and small items. So we do those after hours, after the students are gone for the day. Primarily, the work focus right now is on the gym and the adjoining rooms there. For example, the girls and the boys locker rooms, the gym storage. There's a corridor that will be reworked that leads out of the auditorium, and it exits to the outside. It's beside of the south wall, which that's south wall of the gym. That work is yet to be done, and the exterior. In fact, right now, there's a company subcontractor by the name of Murray Sheet Metal, and they are currently working on the gutters for the low roof area. When they have those installed, they'll jump up to the roof of the gym itself. There was a ladder installed today, a caged ladder as they call it, to be able to access the roof of the gym in case there needs to be inspection, which I know there'll be periodic inspections of any roof that goes on. The basketball goals, the four, two on each side, and the main goals, they were installed last Friday. Actually did it Thursday. They came back on Friday, installed the scoreboard. So if you haven't been down to the gym lately, give me a shout. I'm here early in the morning till most of the time late in the or late afternoon, put it that way. But focus right now in the gym is that the flooring is to be shipped and received soon. I don't have an exact date on that flooring. However, there's the contractor that provides that Cincinnati Flooring, I believe, David. They've been on site already. I did some measurements and whatever, and there are a few minor high points in the concrete. Our primary contractor, Radford and Radford, they'll be reducing those high points. The Cincinnati flooring person will be back and check to make sure everything's done. They bring the flooring in, the room is conditioned, the flooring sets open for a few days, then they start installing the flooring. And at that point, I wanted to mention that currently we have a completion date. I know every one of us are interested in that. It's at the end of October, October 28th to 29th. David, is that what we talked about earlier?
Yes, we talked to them and getting dignitaries here and the governor. Looks like October 29th, that's a Tuesday. That'll be the ribbon cutting. That doesn't mean the building will be done that day. That should be done before that. So, the
Sure.
ribbon cutting's the 29th. That'll be the date will be completely done. So that's right now tentatively scheduled for that date.
Okay. Also, if you've not noticed, we have some new paved area. For contract, the area that was disrupted by the contractor, that's been repaved. There was some additional parking spaces added, and also repavement of existing parking. And I counted today that gave the school 66 more parking spaces that were not being utilized before. Some weren't there, but some were. I know the trusses, the arched roof trusses for the gym, and they came in while I was dealing with Radford and Radford. In fact, that's the first material that was received on the job. They sat for a long, long time and took up parking space over against the riverside. So all that's been opened up. The company Tripway Paving, who performed the paving work, they came yesterday and they striped all the parking spots. So it's 66 more that you didn't have before. And I'd like to open it up to any questions or comments that you have and address those for you.
My question was, when was the gym going to be done? But you've already touched on that.
Okay. It really looks pretty.
Yeah, pictures of it.
Explain to me, contract background, so what do you mean by high points of the floor?
Any concrete floor that's placed. They have levelers, machines, and also the electronic equipment, whatever. But it's not perfect. None. In a few places. Yes, yes. We certainly don't want to have concrete dust on the new paint and on the rafters and, or excuse me, the arched trusses. It can be and will be contained. Yes. Radford's going to do that. Very minor, just very, very minor, what I was informed. But I did not receive any information as to specifics as to what the high points were.
And so is the floor going to be level from the hallway or is there a step down?
There's no step down.
It'll be level with the hallway.
Mhm. Yes, ma'am.
And then I think, I understand there's a HVAC unit that's installed over in between the gym and the auditorium on the roof. Is that right?
There are HVAC units installed on the lower roof, which are on the west, outside the west wall, the wall facing or closest to the river. There's HVAC units up there. Yes, ma'am. Does that answer your question?
I think so. And
Okay.
we're able to replace all the filters for all the,
That's going to be debatable. Design is looking at that now. They are looking at that now.
those are already placed, right?
Yes, ma'am. They are in place.
So if that's debatable, what, is there gonna be rework needed if it's not?
There's been some rework as a result of that. And the rework has been originally the units that were purchased and approved and installed had hinged doors to open. Well, those have been removed and they placed doors that are, you remove 3 pins and the latch on the other side to remove the whole door out of the way. Also, there was, let's say, if I can illustrate that, let's say this is the gym side, here's the wall, here's the HVAC unit. The duct comes out of the bottom of the enclosure below the piece of equipment, comes out, up, and enters into the walls of the gym. There's a space, very narrow. In fact, it's, there's a note, 15 inches, very little space for, if you have a big-footed maintenance person, whatever, but a design is coming up with a roller type step and platform to be able to perform any maintenance that may be required. Haven't seen any information on that yet, but I know that they're working on it because they call me or email me and wanted some more pictures and whatever. And so the reason for that platform is the insulation is so close to the unit and their workspace that they would be stepping on the insulation. And it wouldn't take long before the weather is exposed, even though it has protective covering on it. It wouldn't be long till that insulation would break down.
And so
Hope-
who's coming up, when you say design is coming up with
McKinley,
McKinley?
yes, ma'am.
And so how do we end up with the HV unit so close to the wall, kind of swing door unit? I mean, how does that happen?
I believe originally the 2 units that were specified brand thing, the lead time to get them wasn't conducive to ordering them. And so there was a discussion on replacing Train, for example, that they could not, I'm using Train as an example, Train that they could not get in time to meet the project needs to another type of, another brand, excuse me. And in doing so, I don't think any thought was given as to the complexity of where it's going to be setting, plus maintenance, any do maintenance work, changing filters, or something goes haywire and they got to replace something, whatever, you know. The configuration was different. There was a mechanical engineer with McKinley here a couple of weeks ago, and he wanted to put eyes on That's the person that I had sent information and pictures and did the dimensions on the pictures and sent them whatever, but he was looking at it and he said, he said, no, not much thought was given when we changed from brand X to brand Y about the maintenance people being able to perform necessary maintenance.
And so who made that decision to switch from unit to unit?
I'm going to speculate that the
If it
contractor,
works, I would hope you would know, not speculate.
okay. The primary contractor, they do submittals on equipment, materials, everything that's installed out there. Okay. When they receive the information from different vendors as to buying I'll go back to Train. He said, well, with those units, we cannot get them to you for 18 months. And so our contractor went back to other vendors looking for alternate products, manufactured products. And they in turn submitted those through our submittal process, which it winds up in Design McKinley, their lab. And they either approve it or disapprove it. In this case, they approved it, changing brands. Now, keep in mind, this was early on in the project when that decision had to be made. Did that answer your question, ma'am?
Mentioned the area between the auditorium,
Yes, sir.
and you also.
Murray Sheet Metal.
Can you go back and elaborate on that a little bit? What is that going to be a covering between the auditorium? and the gym?
It's already covered, sir. Murray Sheet Metal has had two different aspects of the contract. First, they were the roofing contractor, including the top layer, which is the membrane, and included corridor 440 as it's listed on the drawings. It's already installed.
So that's a corridor between the gym.
Yes. You exit only out of the north exit doors out of the, I'm sorry, you said gymnasium. I meant auditorium.
And that's what I was trying to figure out. Was there because I can't remember a door on that side of the gymnasium, so there's not a passageway between the auditorium.
There's a passageway between there was an exit coming out of the auditorium. And per the project, it was enlarged and roofed. And there's a set of existing doors where you used to exit. Those will be removed and the enclosure prettied up, as they say. It is enclosed. It'll have a suspended ceiling, lights, fire protection, a hand railing. It's a sloped floor, but it's only an exit coming out of the auditorium.
Comes to the exterior.
Yes, sir, it does.
That's what I was trying.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay.
Mr. Angel, if you're sitting in the auditorium, you can stage to the right.
Right, yeah.
And then what it does is it's a gradual incline all the way to outside the building to a sidewalk to either go left to the gym or right to the auditorium entrance. Does that help?
It does. The way it was being explained earlier, in my mind, I was thinking there was just a passageway from the auditorium to the gymnasium, but I couldn't recall.
Yeah, there's no getting exterior.
There's two sets of doors, one that leads directly from the auditorium. Immediately you turn right.
Right.
There are the exit doors are still there temporarily
And that gives us
until,
an emergency exit.
yes, sir.
That was.
And it's handicap accessible too for that, if someone needs to get out quickly.
I had a question.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Parker,
Marty, I'm sorry, it's been kind of hard to hear, so if you've already addressed it, please forgive me. Are there any plans to clean the block, pressure wash or so forth? There is a noticeable need.
Yes, ma'am, there is. It's gonna be one of the last things that is done. The other exterior work that is ongoing, that needs to be completed, and the contractor will be performing I believe it's an acid wash, some type of an acid they're gonna utilize and pressure wash it.
Will you then have to replant the grass, do the landscape again after that?
I would imagine near the building itself for pressure washing, you're gonna have an exceptional amount of water from any pressure washer. And they'll have to redo the grounds and including grass, seed and straw. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know if this is a good question to you or Mr. Warble or who. I just wonder where we're at on budget.
We're right on budget. It's real tight right now. We don't need any surprises at this point in time, but like the acid wash she's talking about, that's not part of that kind of stuff. Or the, what do you call it, the design change of the HVAC, that's
Mhm.
not an extra cost.
Right.
That's not on us, that's on them, they make that right. But as far as we're concerned, there shouldn't be any, I mean, we're pretty much at the end here. They have a couple more pay apps. The next one will be close to $500,000, but there's been a lot of subcontractors on site that are going to need to be paid. But you know, like Murray Sheet Metal, that needs to be finished up because that'll cause roof leaks if we get a good rain because it needs to have the gutter system on there. So, and then that area that is connected now, that hallway that we talked about to the auditorium, that's going to need to be finished as well. That's going to be the next big one because Cincinnati Flooring is going to do all the work on the floor. That's not Radford. It's mainly subcontractor. And the Radford company is going to be coming in and doing punch out lists now. So there shouldn't be, all the surprises we've had them. So we're real tight on the budget. And at the end, we do debits and credits to finish out. So if we're not happy with something, I do not release that last check until I know all subcontractors have been paid. This is SBA requirements now. And there's a checklist of everything that has to be done before the SBA or I can sign off on it to say they're done with their job. Because once they're done, then we got a whole year of warranty for this project. But until they're completely done and we're satisfied, that year doesn't start, if that makes sense. Did that answer your question?
If I may, about the credits and debits, I started a list, just a type list of credits and debits to the project. Credits is money to the client. Debits is, it's extra, it's a change order. And I did that for one reason, so that we could all remain focused at the appropriate time or times on all the things that have been addressed, so we don't overlook something. So it's, in fact, I still maintain that list. Credits and debits, that was Roger Hartley, baby. Hey, I look forward to showing you the areas. By the way, one last thing, if you don't care, the punch listing that I've performed so far has been for the hall, the corridors, and the classrooms, administrative offices, storage room, girls, boys, restrooms, staff toilet, janitor, and IT room. Yet have I punch listed the gymnasium and everything else, exterior included. But I will be doing those. You know, the punch list is not an aspect of work they haven't done yet. It's something that needs some attention. So wanted to mention that to you. Thank you for your time.
One other thing,
Yes, sir.
in our bills, we had, I asked Mr. about this earlier. The company came in with radar to check that wall crack. Was that crack to be repaired? What are we doing with
The
that?
crack has been repaired. Yes, sir.
You know,
If you look at the restrooms to the left is the girls' restroom. That wall on the other side of it is a mechanical room, storage room. And on the inside from where the steel is, there's about the 8 to 10 foot crack coming down.
Mhm.
And it did not follow.
The mortar
It did not
joints.
follow the mortar joint, it went through the block. So then we had a third party come in and make sure that it was structurally sound. And they said there is rebar in there and there is concrete fill in there. So that report, Heath is wanting them and Pickerington, because that Pickering, who we've been working with as a third party, needs to give us a more detailed report, because Keith from McKinley said it's too nebulous for him. He would like more specifics on that, because if that becomes an issue in the future, that should not be an owner's issue, that should be the contractor's issue. So it's been noted.
Was the wall repaired then, or was it,
Yes, it was.
does it have rebar and concrete fill in it from when it was built?
Yes, it has it from when it was built, and then when they went in to fix it, you can tell them what they did with the mortar to repair that crack area. If you-
It's,
You know more than I would.
It's called grout, and there was some void at that area of grout, and from results of the X-ray, there was grout at the bottom of the wall. I don't remember exact dimension, how far up. There were some voids, and they placed that grout in the block cells. Large machine, just a holding machine. After it's mixed, goes into a vat, bring it over. It has a tube about 4-inch flexible hose rather, and with a lever to either place the grout or stop, move to the next cell. And sometimes there's a small void there, but anyway, that area that was void was grouted with the mortar, grout mortar, and they used mortar to smooth over the crack itself. They've done that on both sides of the wall, as David said, the girls' restroom and also the mechanical room. Mechanical room is also another electrical substation.
I diagnosed the cause, wait
There's a lot of steel there. As David mentioned, we're still waiting. This company from Ohio that was brought in here and did the X-ray of all the load. They X-rayed all the load-bearing walls to make sure it's a good product. Still waiting for, as David mentioned, particularly Heath Fain, the administrator for McKinley and the contract. Still, he's wanting some additional information regarding that, some further explanation. But so far, we haven't seen that.
Roger, do you have the key to that room to unlock it tonight so the board could see what we're talking about?
Sure.
Because seeing is a little bit easier than talking about it.
Mhm.
If
Sure.
you'd like to see it tonight after the board.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Thank y'all for your time.
Gets us to public comment, Mr. Daniel Wall. I know we've had some long presentations
Oh, yes.
here, but
No, you're
I
fine.
just want to, before your public comment, 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, you're fine. Thank you all, for being here. Thank you all, McBride, Farley on the phone, Brogan and Miss Harvey. As you all know, like, right now, the state testing assessment scores came out. Not good. I mean, it's not good at all. And, one of the things I wanted to talk about the last one, I appreciate Withrow for being back here. I have a friend, Philip Ferris, Trish Ferris, who said that I could share their story. They picked up their kids and moved them to Greater Beckley. And we're talking the next school district over, they're at least 2 grades behind. 2 grades behind. I've heard about all this money we just spent on this new building. If we don't get qualified people in here, Mr. Superintendent, it's not going to get any better. I don't care how nice of a building you got, which $14 million, Beckley Stratton's 20 million looks 20 times better than that, just being honest. It's sad. It really is. Because as you all know, I coached football here for 3 years. I'm not from here. I'm from Martin County, Kentucky, went across the river, went to school at Mingo County because my dad decided to hold a corrupt superintendent in place with his newspaper, which in turn made me leave my friends to go to Tug Valley, which I was happy I did. Better school system. You know, I was a judge, small town politics stuff of calling the ex-mayor to tell him, hey, tell him the meeting changed. Contact from local law enforcement, you know, this dude's a school resource officer. He should be home right now. Like, it's sad. It's pathetic. And borderline unprofessional. I mean, very unprofessional. You know, you have my phone number, Greg. I'm an employee here. I still heard, hey, we're going to have this thing with cybersecurity and social media. I still get the phone calls, but you're going to call the ex-mayor who I happen to date his daughter. Unacceptable. You know, there's a lot of stuff unacceptable. And one thing I'm not going to stand for is kids not getting an education. And whenever we're talking about the next county over, we're not talking about a kid picked up, moved from Summers County and went to Morgantown, went to Roanoke, Virginia. We're talking 30 minutes down the road. They're 2 years behind. And in learning this, I found that there was other people came out with their stories. There was a young lady that had a 4.12 GPA at Summers County High School. What is it? ACT 23 Promise Scholarship? She couldn't even make it. A 4.12. I was a 2.8 and was like this close to a Promise Scholarship because I scored 23 whenever I was a junior in high school. I just wasn't, you know, classroom work wasn't my thing. I like to be a knuckle dragger and go lay, you know, blacktop and stuff. Like, it is sad. It's sad because I coach these kids and it's a little bit different. I'm not from here like certain people, you know, but I came here, I fell in love with the kids here. I fell in love with the kids here. And now I've got 2 kids of my own that are going through these halls. Now it's, you know, I'm watching them. And whenever they don't have a fair shake at life, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? What are you doing? I mean, it's sad because we can build a nice new gym. We can build all this until you get qualified people in here, qualified people. And there's some tough decisions to be made. Me and you've talked about them, Angel. You know, you all get funding right now for what is it, 1,200 students? 1,400. 300 more than what we got, right? Do we not do forward thinking? Hey, where are we going to be at in 5 years? Where are we going to be at in 10 years? What's the population look like? We're just going to build a 14 million. You could say it's COOPA money. It's taxpayer money. It still comes out of our taxes, comes out of your pocket, my pocket, everybody works here's pocket. I mean, it's sad because I'm all for having a nice facility. But if you don't have a math teacher and they're having to learn through a TV, I mean, like, I get it. Hooray, let's come back to school. We just had the lowest test scores in the state and the worst state in the nation. Why don't we put our nose in books and push on? You know, because I find stories of having players who couldn't pass the ASVAB test. That's unacceptable. I have a kid that struggling to get to the military to get his out ticket. It's unacceptable whenever a person has a 4.12 GPA, can't even get a Promise Scholarship. Above and beyond here, right? Okay, well, I mean, I'll just leave with this. It is completely unacceptable. You know, if a superintendent can't read a correspondence on a FOIA and my number's on it, I could probably see why our kids can't comprehend reading. Thank you.
All right, item 6, superintendent recommends approval of the following minutes. We have before us August 27th, our 2024 regular meeting.
I'll make a motion, we approve the August 27 minutes.
Have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we approve the August 27, 2024 regular meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? But the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that April 27, 2024, regular meeting. All right. The bills, the first bill we have is for R.T. Rogers.
I'll make a motion to pay R.T. Rogers.
Do I have a second? Have a motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by Ms. Harvey, to pay the bill for R.T. Rogers. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? The minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote, with Mr. Brogan recusing himself, that R.T. Rogers bill. We have before us now the remainder of the bills.
Motion to pay the remaining.
Motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that we pay the remainder of the bills. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? The minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the remainder of the bills has been approved. Ed, get that microphone. Okay. Just have to think about it. Sorry, they might not be able to hear us.
One thing.
Thank you, sir. Item 8, old business, discussion or possible action to approve Game Changer MOU. So I was trying to do some of this math. I need some explanation on this. So it's 25,000 per school year now. The total for 4 schools, so that's 25,000 per school for a total of 100,000. Game Changer pays 50,000 of that, correct? We pay 50,000 of that, of which 20,000 will be allocated to pay each of the 4 Game Changer coaches. So does that 20,000 come out of the total 100, or does that 20,000 come out of the 50 that we pay into it?
It's the second one, I believe.
The 50 we pay into
Yeah.
it. So we're getting the full 50,000 from Game Changers.
That's what I understand.
So then 30,000 of that, we are paying to the Game Changer, and then 5,000 we paid to each of our 4
Yeah,
coaches.
that money goes.
So that keeps that money in our county.
Correct.
Where's our $50,000 come from?
That is offset by COVID funds.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear where the funding came from.
COVID funds.
Thank you.
And can you verify that, or are you confident that that 20 is coming out of our 50? Is that?
Let me do this.
Okay.
I'll see if Joe answered this fine.
I just want to make sure, because
You're fine.
that if we're only putting 30 into it now, if the 20 comes off of the 100, then there's another 10,000 we'd be putting into it.
I don't believe it's that way, but I get what you're saying.
The way I read it and the way I interpreted it, the 20 was coming out of our 50, but I just wanted to verify.
Only Miss Holt for here.
Hmm.
Only Miss Holt for here.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, could I put you on speaker with my board president and the other board members? They got a question about your math skills. Okay. Okay, here you go.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
How you doing?
I'm fine. So we're looking over the MOU and my question, the cost is 100,000 for Summers County. So,
100,000. I don't have
correct.
it in front of me. It should be 100,000.
So it's 100, the total for 4 schools is 100,000 and you're paying 50% of the cost. So you're paying 50,000.
Correct.
And then it says Summers County Board of Education will pay 50,000, of which 20,000 will be allocated to pay for the 4 game changer coaches, 5,000
Correct.
each. So I just wanted to verify that 20,000 comes out of our 50,000
Correct.
amount, not the total 100,000.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Thank you,
Correct.
sir. That's what I needed to confirm.
No problem, buddy. Glad to help.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Yep. Now my phone might not be. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, buddy.
And then the 30,000 that goes toward supplies, activities,
Yeah.
training.
The support we get.
The support
Kim Lake,
from-
who we correspond with, or she'll come here and work with us.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the MOU game changer.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the game changer MOU has been approved. All right, item 8B, discussion or possible action to approve superintendent goals. I'll make a motion under West Virginia Code 6-9A-4 personnel that we go into executive session.
Second.
Motion by myself, seconded by Mr. McBride, that under West Virginia Code 6-9A-4 personnel that we go into executive session. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that we will go into executive session. The time is 7:11. Renee, I'm gonna take you with us here, so let's see how this works.
Thank you.
It is now 8:10. Executive session ended at 8:08. It's a long walk from where we had executive session back to the room, so we will now call this regular meeting back to order. So we have discussion or possible action to approve superintendent goals. We went over the goals, the proposed goals from Mr. Warble, as well as the proposed goals from the board. We have now before us a set of goals that we have all agreed upon, mutually agreed upon. So I will make a motion that with the amendments that we discussed in executive session to the goals, that we approve the superintendent goals for the 2024-2025 school year.
Second. Oh, that's okay, man.
Okay, we have a motion by myself, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, to approve the superintendent goals with the amendments we discussed in executive session for the 24-25 school year. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the superintendent goals have been approved. All right, we now have before us the new school MOU.
This MOU is very similar to the last couple of years that they work to help with students to graduate and also to help with students to receive credit. It's very similar to what they've done in the past. The same cost for the whole year. This is an extra service that is provided with a cost that the county usually cannot take on, but since we have COVID funds to offset the cost, I don't see doing this any more than this year because next year will not be an option because we just don't have that extra funding, for us. But I don't mean to put Dr. Green or Ms. Schaefer on the spot, but I know you guys work a lot with new school and it's very similar. You two can tell you if you guys would like to see this continue to work with them, what your thoughts are, but I know the board likes to hear testimonials sometime. And this is what we're gonna continue what we've done in the past.
You okay if I speak now?
Sure.
I've spoken to Summer, who is the services, and she's now working with our students in our after-school program. Some of the students have asked for, help with anxiety. We even had some kids asking about that are smokers, would like to quit smoking. They've come and asked teachers for help for that, so I'm trying to work on something for that. And some of us want to work with us and work with our kids. Something they've been asking.
Would that be considered on the psychological end as well?
Now, how does that work with Reno Medical Center and services that they provide?
This is,
They're more of a tier 3, more intensive, one-on-one. Whereas what Summer would be doing is you probably have them grouped.
in groups.
Yeah, so it's a more of a smaller group. Right now it would be more of a one-on-one, more serious case to deal with someone's, whatever they're going through at that time. But Summer can do more of a, like tier 1 would be like an assembly. Tier 2 would be a smaller group working with them. And then tier 3 is more individualized, if that makes sense.
One of the questions I had on here, sorry, I know you probably want to speak. I have a question. So on the bulleted areas, one class a day focused on daily living skills. So are we going to be pulling kids out of school? Do we have an idea how that's going to work? I mean, out of class, how would that piece work with doing the daily living skills during class, during the day?
Dr. Green, how have you guys done that in the past? Okay.
You wanna go ahead and share what you had?
As far as, I mean, I don't know what's in the document for you. As far as the credit recovery, I will say that, that has been helpful in a lot of ways, having that person hopefully, last year, I kind of made them be a little bit more creative about it, as far as how they pull kids. So like I made them do it during like club time, or like advisory, or sometime that's not out of actual instruction. So I have made them be a little bit more creative, and that probably has curtailed a little bit of maybe their effectiveness. I'll lie about that. But the ones the students have worked with, the person I've worked with, we have seen results, we've been able to get them across the finish line. Between new schools and a lot of other initiatives last year, we were able to make a pretty good impact on our graduation. So that's what I can say about that piece. Kind of looking over it here. I think some of the things are kind of newer to me that I'm familiar with, but we don't do, but I can speak to that piece. There's been a pretty good amount of success with the credit recovery support.
Have they done in the past the after-school support group for parents and students?
I say that one more time.
There's one there, after-school support group for parents and students. Have they done that in the past? We know.
Well, I've been.
That's
Okay,
something newer.
okay. I was just wondering if they had done it, what type of participation they had received.
And this does not include the, VR headset program.
Yeah. We have that through that, Prisms that needs to get started up for the math and science at the secondary level, so we had to take something out because of the cost.
What are the alternative options for credit recovery?
Support. Yeah, go ahead.
Right now, for credit recovery, they have a couple. They are certainly able to come to after school tutoring program, the assistance with credit recovery. Last year, Christie, the Shaker program was also helpful in getting that done for some students. Then they also have summer school that they can do it, but also we will enroll them and they can work at on their own time. So we've got about 3 different options for which they can use credit recovery, and again, none of them really impact their current schedule and current courses that they're
And those are options that we offer today.
in.
And how successful are those options compared to new school?
Well, I mean, summer school is pretty successful. We ended up having summer graduate stuff or something. That one is kind of more or less successful. The after-school programming, and that one's gonna be always harder to fill because they're 14, 15-year-old students and some of them aren't. So that one is kind of harder to attract students to. And then on their own, it's a mixed bag. I will certainly say that while they're here from 7:25 to 3:08, and they're more or less a captive audience, we do have more success having that person be able to track them down. I'm going anywhere anyway, so mom will sit down here and do some math, make up. So, it is pretty successful having a person here during the day when they can do it during those times so that they're not pulled out.
Any other questions?
Yes. If we didn't spend this money on new school academy, what other options options would there be?
Without me doing any research right now, I don't know what would actually be out there. I mean, I can look around and see what I can find. We could talk to the principal at the next principal meeting in October.
But we have to spend the COVID money before
Before then?
October.
Yeah.
And that was gonna lead to my next question.
There-
Can we do that?
Well, here's the thing. Uriah Cummings from the state has given some guidance that we can move COVID funds right now into all of our substitute funding. Then that substitute funding and all the other money that it frees up then would be county money, but yet it would be indirectly COVID money. You see how I'm saying that? Because they don't want any money to go back to the federal government, but they've got guidance that you can do it that way because all that money for substitute costs would go towards academics. So it's an academic thing, is what they're saying. So that would help a lot of counties in all 50 states. Because it's hard to spend all that money knowing that you're talking the federal government, their end time for funding is always in September. But see, for schools, it's one is the new fiscal year, but see, theirs is in the fall. It doesn't always jive up. So that's another way to get around
Okay.
losing COVID money is what we've been, now I thought you wanted to
What,
say.
what do you,
You could probably help explain that, because you actually worked with Uriah at the state level with this guidance, because this is something that we've just found out in the last 2 weeks, and we wanted to get it in writing.
So substitute cost was always available to use COVID funds on. And some of the substitutes were always covered under COVID. It just looked like in the first couple of years, Monroe County selected to use this county money for most of the substitutes. So it's an allowable expense. It would just be like an expenditure transfer to transfer this fund. So that's just going to free up some of the money from last year's budget, be carried over to this year's budget, and you'd be able to have for that. So it'd just be using a carryover there for that instead of COVID. Because the amount of money that we spent last year on substitutes was about $750,000. I mean, there's a lot of money there that like, we could use COVID money to cover. And those costs, I mean,
So you'd be making an adjustment to last year's budget,
not to last year's budget, to last year's
Budget.
money.
financial, sorry.
So the financials are due this month. So that's a decision we need to make like soon, which we've already talked about it. And in my personal opinion, we've worked with the state and have been running, and we're allowed to do that. I think we should go ahead and move it, and then that way we meet all the deadlines for COVID. We've used all the money, it's expensed. We can go ahead and ask for all that money to be put back into our account, because, you know, we have to front it and then we get it back. And then that way, like, we'll have county money, and we can use the county money on expenses like this if we want to, that doesn't have that time restriction that.
you better just tape.
I don't know if that helps, you know, but.
And then the other thing to do is we could, since saying that, then at our principals meeting in October, since we've had a good working relationship with Hughes and our principals, we can talk to them. And then if we still want to work with them and they can do maybe some other things that have research base to support it, because I don't want to do it because I think it feels good or I like it. That's not a good reason to help out with academics with our school system. So we need to have some research to back up whatever we're about to do with it. Not to say the Pews can do that, but I think they're receptive to tailoring it to our needs.
Well,
So-
if we could postpone it till,
And table it.
if we could table it and still, if we decide that maybe that's the best, we want what's best for our kids.
Okay.
I mean, but
Make a motion to postpone it for the next meeting.
Or no action.
how you want
If
me
you,
to
if
do
you,
it.
if you table it, and we pick it back up before this meeting's over. If you postpone it, you set a date, you postpone it too, so you could postpone it till the next meeting.
Yeah,
or you could postpone it till the second month in October. because-
Second meeting in October.
Well, because with the principals, correct me if I'm wrong, we're meeting on the 9th, aren't we? On October 9th, so that would give us time to vet it, is what I'm saying.
So,
The financial will be presented at the next board meeting.
That would help you
So
guys.
that will help you know where we're standing. next
So
week.
postpone to
so,
Give the principals time to come up with
Yeah.
plan B if there would be one.
And it'll
My,
give-
my thought on this is we're doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. Kind of like whether he would want to hear this or not, the Dr. Edwards thing. Just hadn't seemed to produce any results. We're kind of in the same boat with this, but we have the money to spend. Just saying,
Well,
if there's options, maybe we should look into them.
Well, that's why I wanted you guys to see that defined learning too, because that brings in a CTE component, K-12. I'm not saying you have to go with that, but for $12,000, that's another option for, if you think about it, it's $1,000 a grade level. And you get access to it unlimitedly, so.
what's the second meeting?
But you want to postpone it till the 27th?
22nd, October
22nd.
22nd.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we postpone this until the October 22nd meeting. Gives more time to research.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by Mrs. Harvey to postpone any action on new school MOU until the October 22nd meeting. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the motion to postpone new school MOU to October 22nd has been approved. Item D, discussion of possible action to change or make amendments to policy 2B5 regarding legal service agreement. Let's see where we at right here. I'm going to make a motion also that we postpone this one until September 24th meeting. This is one I was going to try to come up with some wording on that policy so that we could go ahead and put it right out for review. And I have been working on several other items and not able to get the time I needed to do that. So I'll make a motion we postpone that until September 24th.
Second.
So a motion by myself, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we postpone the changes or amendments to policy 2B5 for legal service agreement until the September 24th meeting. Any discussion? If you all do have any suggested updates to that policy or changes to that policy, let me know and I'll incorporate those into the ones that I have in my mind that I was thinking about for that. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that we have postponed any action on the amendment or changes to policy 2B5 regarding legal service agreement until September 24th. A new business purchases over 25,000.
We don't have any.
Good. 9B, discussion or possible action regarding the Lincoln property, the property storage building, and that's just the property around the Lincoln School and the storage building that the school currently owns. Do we have any update on that? Chance?
Yeah, that's one thing I think, Mr. Farley and you and I and, the Sander need to sit down about with coverage of all our properties.
Mhm.
He mentioned that I think we need to seriously look at having better coverage because we might have been getting coverage that was underwhelming if something happened.
Okay.
And it's not just the Lincoln property, but all property, and that's what
Yeah.
I figured that we should all talk about as we move forward. He's also got an idea for maybe some dental and eye as well to help out. So that's some good news there as well. But the one with school properties could be a little negative because if we are under covered, we might have a higher rate.
Right.
But I'd rather be covered than not in case something would happen. But anyway.
Okay. So we'll take no action on that, and then we'll just follow up with that after we've met with him. And Mr. McBride, I'll turn the floor over to you at this point.
All right. Item 9C is discussion and possible action to approve out-of-state overnight trip for the FFA, Miss Kathy Duffield's class to Indianapolis, Indiana. And also a overnight trip to Cedar Lakes, October the 2nd to October the 3rd.
If it helps you guys out, the travel tracker I printed off,
Yeah.
you can see what the dates are and where to highlight in pink. And then on the back side, you have the rest of it for your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Make a motion that we approve both trips.
I'll second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the trips. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The record reflect, 4-0 vote. Motion carries with Mr. Angel recusing.
Okay. Thank you, Jay. Under new business, item D, discussion or possible action to approve Patricia Ward, COTA. This is occupational therapy, and funding source is through IDEA.
If you guys look, her price is pretty good per hour, $30 an hour to help. I mean, that's real inexpensive for the quality we get from her.
And we've used her in the past.
Yeah, this
So,
is,
kind of a
historic,
ongoing.
documentation, so we worked with her for a while now.
I'll make a motion, we approve Patricia Ward's occupational therapy services.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mrs. Harvey to approve Patricia Ward for occupational therapy services. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? The minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that Patricia Ward for occupational therapy services has been approved. Item E, discussion or possible action to approve 24-25 free lunch agreements.
I'll make a motion, we approve the free lunch agreements. Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we approve the 24-25 free lunch agreements. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the 24-25 free lunch agreements have been approved. Okay, we are now at item 10, personnel. The first one we will deal with will be Mr. Harshaw. So if you would. Okay, so we have before us, the superintendent's recommendation for personnel for extra duty coaches extracurricular, Mr. Kenneth Harshaw, head middle school boys basketball coach.
I make a motion, we approve superintendent's recommendation. I'll second.
Have a motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by Mr. McBrogan, you're Irish now, by Mr. Brogan, that we approve Kenneth Harshaw for the middle school head basketball coach. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote with Mrs. Harvey recusing herself that Mr. Harshaw has been approved for employment. Okay, Mrs. Farley, I'm going to mute the phone right here.
Thank you.
All right, we now have before us, for personnel, Jimmy Farley, Joe Farley, and Benji Farley. Those are for extra duty coaches, extracurricular, 2 after-school bus runs for Jimmy and Joe Farley, and head middle school girls basketball coach for Benji Farley.
Make a motion, we accept superintendent's recommendations.
Have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, that we approve the superintendent's recommendation for personnel, Jimmy Farley, Joe Farley, and Benji Farley. All in, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote with Mrs. Farley recusing herself that those recommendations from the superintendent have been approved. We have before us now, the remaining personnel items. We have a few extra here to add. Pardon? Yeah, unmuted. You can hear me, right, Renee?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
We do have a few extra to add. The agenda reflects the positions. So, we have for professional, math, we have LaDonna Aliff. That's for 6 through 12 Summers County Comprehensive High School. So that name is added in. And then we also have under contract amendments, we have Samantha Jones listed, but we also have, and these are, I'll have them on your packet as well. So we have Haley Lane, Selena Foster, Carla Peterson. Pages are sticking together. Lauren Rochetti and Rose Richmond. These are specialists, and this is one of those amendments we do on an annual basis, is it
Well,
not?
what has happened is, under the new state code a couple years ago, they at the Capitol voted for anybody that teaches 60% or more of their day in math and special ed, get a bump in pay. And so you have to wait till the schedule comes out to make sure it meets that threshold. It has met it. These people signed up. We got it today. But since it already said contract amendments, we don't necessarily know until the schedule's set and everybody's doing what they say they're doing. So at this point in time, they deserve a bump in pay. They know they'll get paid this Friday, and if it gets voted and approved tonight, then this Friday they'll get their pay adjusted for doing what said they're doing, which we already know they're doing. It's been verified by the principals on the sheet of paper there.
So what we have before us now, under personnel, we have resignation, retirement. We have the contract amendments, employee professional, employee service, substitute professional, substitute service. We have one employee offer for recension. We have mentor and extra duty coaches, extracurricular.
I'd like to make a motion that, under West Virginia Code 6-9A-4, we go into executive session, or paragraph 2, personnel.
Second.
A motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride, according to West Virginia Code 6-9A-4, paragraph 2, personnel, that we go into executive session. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that we will go into executive session. The time is 8:38 PM. Mm-hmm. You still there, Renee?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I pushed a button, just wanted to make sure I didn't hang up on you.
Thank you.
All right, executive session ended at 8:49 PM. We'll reconvene here in just a minute. Wait on Mr. Brogan to come back.
That's all I'm gonna tell you.
Mr. McBrogan,
Mr. McBrogan. I'll bring him over. Sometimes my mind doesn't move as fast as my mouth, Renee. Most
think
times
we
my
all-
mind doesn't move as fast as my mouth.
How's your battery, Chad? Oh, you plugged it in. I see that now. I think my phone's at like 1 or 2.
All right. We have 8:52, so we'll now call back to order the regular meeting of Summers County Board of Education. So we have before us the remaining recommendations from the superintendent regarding personnel.
So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the recommendations with, so long that there's changes to the effective dates for the employment professional, third grade teacher at Talcott Elementary be changed from 9/11/2024 to TBD. And under employment service for the custodian 3 evening at Centenary Elementary be changed from 9/11/2024 to TBD.
Second. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. Brogan, to approve the superintendent's recommendation for personnel with the amendment for the third grade teacher Talcott Elementary effective date to be changed to TBD, and the custodian 3 evening Hinton Area Elementary effective date to be changed to TBD. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that the superintendent's recommendation for personnel have been approved with the 2 mentioned changes to the effective dates for third grade teacher Talcott Elementary and custodian 3 evening Hinton Area Elementary. All right, item 11, student disciplinary hearing. I will make a motion according to West Virginia Code 6-9A-4. Student, what paragraph is that? Hold on. Paragraph 3. Discipline concerning students that we go into executive session.
Second.
Motion by myself, seconded by Mr. McBride, according to West Virginia Code 6-9A-4, paragraph 3, that we go into executive session. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote that we will go into executive session. The time is 8:55 PM.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who the second was.
It was Mr. McBride.
Thank you.
executive session ended at 9:15. Call back to order the regular Summers County Board of Education meeting. So, Mr. Worrell, do you have a recommendation?
Yeah, I have a recommendation to expel students. Get ready to write this down. A is an apple, 109-102-024 for 365 days from school.
Is that 109-102-024?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. For 365 days from.
Did you say something, Renee?
Please mute me.
Yep. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Yep, find it on them. Okay, now you're muted.
Is she gone?
Okay. She's gone
I'll
now.
make a motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, that we accept the superintendent's recommendation. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the superintendent's recommendation has been approved, with Mrs. Farley recusing herself. Okay, she's back now. Item 12,
Yes.
superintendent's report.
There was something that you guys want to talk about with a staff discrepancy update. Basically what happened last school year to this school year, we found out from working with Uriah companies at the state level, you all should have a stapled handout. What happened was the numbers that they received and the numbers that we're having did not necessarily jive up with certified list. So every October, we have to submit a certified list. They saw that our budget did not necessarily reflect the staffing, and it looked like we had 30 over, and we didn't have that many over. But what we've done this year to make it work and to talk with the state is we highlighted everything for you guys to see with state code of how they fund us versus getting grants to fund people or using title money to fund positions. So basically, I want you guys to know we are 0.65 over on the professional. So this white sheet right here, the very front, if you flip through the whole thing, that's the details of it. But then the second line is service. So we are 7.45 over in service. Most of that is due to our special ed population. We have to support those special needs children, especially if they have a 504 IEP. So on the front, what we're allowed is 108.85 is what we're allotted from the State Department for funding. What we have on our books, and it'll be correct on the certified list this year, because I want to make sure we get this right, it's going to be 109.5. That means we're 0.65 over on professional. So we're really good on that. Most county schools have a hard time with service due to busing students or kids that have special need because you have to be able to provide an aid. So services allowed for our county size is 73.30 staff. We have 80.75 on the books, meaning we're over 7.45 in service. That number
So basically, we're breaking their rules because of their rules.
I don't know what you mean. I'm not.
We're over because we have to provide the services.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, most
We're
counties.
over breaking the rules because of their other rules.
Well,
Required.
if you look at federal and state guidelines, they don't always match up. I'll give you a quick example. You're supposed to help a kid out who's identified between 3 and 21. But if that kid does not graduate with their cohort, but we're supposed to keep them till 21, then they don't hit the graduation rate, which you get knocked down because you met the government, federal, but the state says you need to graduate them within their cohort. So it doesn't always jive up. That's in all 50 states. So I understand what you're saying now, but yeah, the certified list, it did, once we had clarification with the state, and remember how earlier you're talking about how much we're way over budget and we're spending a deficit a couple months ago, that is furthest from the truth now. We got it all cleaned up. So now the certified list will match exactly what we actually have.
So we're good to go in the state's eyes. It makes sense on both parties. I think it wasn't coded correctly. And now if you look through this, we're working with the state to make sure we're coding this correctly so they know where state funding's going versus grant money versus title money, if that makes sense.
Well,
Or does it not make sense?
yeah, I was just gonna say, I would love to hear the actual number now that you've got this sheet.
Well, at the next board meeting, you heard her talk about financials. I think that'll clear it up.
Okay,
Because in October then, once you go with the financials, now we need to match that with certified lists. So I'll take care of that this year. That's on I'm taking that on to get it done. And I just wanted you guys to, I hope it's as clear as mud right now. Is it at least dirtier water, clear?
Well, the numbers are a whole lot better than what I,
Yes, yes, yes. Because if you take who we actually have now, that
Yeah.
is exactly who we have.
okay.
It's always harder to do the service. You can talk to any county in any state and the service is the most difficult. The next item I have is Jessie Weinberger. She's talked to our students. So far, I've heard positive feedback from the kids and from the adults that are part of the school system. I've asked people to make sure you tell people to come tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at the Ritz. It's free. Jessie is very good at hitting you with the facts, but giving you good items to use to have a conversation with your kids and vice versa with the kid, with their parents. We just want to make sure kids understand that internet is a good place to get information, and it's also a terrible place to get a lot of negative information. You just have to learn how to use it more appropriately. And usually most of that comes through a cell phone. So there was a lot of honest discussion she had with the kids, and the parents, I think, will enjoy listening to her at the end or during her presentation. People can ask questions and she's glad to have conversation with people. That's not a problem for her at all. So it's been well received. I've already told you earlier, October 29th, just put that down, pencil it as a day for ribbon cutting ceremony on a Tuesday. So far that's working for people at the state level, for dignitaries to come. I'll be glad to reach out to our delegates and our senators, and then to the mayor and anybody else that are dignitaries or past dignitaries in the county of Summers County to come and celebrate that day for the ribbon cutting. Next Board of Ed meeting, I will address the lower test scores that we received in the county. Make no mistake, we are one of the lower performing. We are number 55, tied with another county out of 55 counties. Like you've heard me say before, it's on me. And I talked to the staff about this on the first day. We will address at the next board meeting, not only the test results, but what we're planning on doing and what we have done. But people have to understand that is a one point in time. There are some positives that are going on in the school system. One, I can tell you, we had a high graduation rate this year that I'll go over at the next board meeting. It's the highest it's ever been. And I think that's something people need to know about as well. People also need to know that even though a kid doesn't achieve and pass the proficiency of a test, what if they were down here and reached up one rung? I want you guys to see that data as well, because sometimes you don't see the whole picture. And then we also have to talk about our special ed kids, how they doing with state testing as well. All that's a factor in there, but the biggest thing right now is we need to show improvement, and that's part of it. And then the last thing I want to tell you is, as we move forward with the levy, just let me know some dates that you guys would like to do some town hall meetings. I think it might be just better to have it here at the auditorium or at the, like a Talk It Gym or somewhere on school property where people can come and know where to meet. And it's all informational. It's not to tell people to vote for it. It's just to tell them, here's the information. Here's some questions and answers. Do we have anything else to clarify to help people out? So if you guys want to meet at some other location, you let me know where to do that. I'm not saying the firehouses aren't a good place, but I think we tried that.
Probably wasn't.
It just didn't work out, and that's okay, but I do appreciate the firehouses for allowing us to come there. They opened their doors and they were really receptive. They were good people, and I appreciate that. But we need to just send a message out.
They said that there's gonna be a tailgate. Or we're gonna do a tailgate event before one of the ball games again. Did we have
Yes,
a booth, a tailgate?
Yep.
That's an information.
Yep.
I would love to do it this Friday, but we're all gonna be in Charleston for the Boards Association meeting, but we could do it the next home game. Or we can do it at the railroad days. We can do it at certain, we can look at different places where more people will come. Then we can also do it at Kirk's Restaurant or other places. Yes, sir.
Right now, we have the tailgate for education scheduled for, the home game on October 4th.
Okay, so there we go. We can do October the 4th.
Are you getting flyers printed up to?
We are, matter of fact, Denise has been working on a flyer. I want to give it to you guys first to vet it, and then I'm going to give it to the committee that has been formed that is supporting, the schools. And once we give it to them, let them see and pick it apart and vet it, then we'll get those mailed out ASAP to everybody. Right now, Chad's been working with Apogee. Tomorrow, we're both going to work with them to get the new look. We're still gonna do the sliding, because I think a lot of people like that sliding scale to know how much it's gonna cost. But since we went from 35% down to 30, that's
We
gonna
need to
change the
emphasize
numbers.
the 2-year thing too.
And the 2-year, yeah, all that. But also tonight after the board meeting, I'd really like you to see what the classrooms look like, that kids have been in there and teachers. It's a whole different look, and you need to see the gymnasium, what it's doing, and then also that crack in the wall we talked about earlier. And go from there, but that's all. I want to make it quick and succinct, so, sorry.
Thank you.
Yep.
Item 13, discussion next agenda. It's going to be September 24th, 6 PM, and it will be held at Hinton Area Elementary. Any items that you all want to add to the next agenda? If not, as always, you can reach out to myself or the superintendent and we can get any item you have added. Did you have something?
I did earlier, but it's failing me right now.
It's contagious. All right, just reach out if you
You
get
can
anything.
always say something later.
So,
Where are we on the?
All right.
Building.
You want an update on that one? Jay mentioned an update, maybe if we can find out anything about the old middle school. If we're able to get any interest in
Time to
it.
unload it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're speaking my language today.
I know we talked a little bit about it during our work session, and so if we could, that would be a monkey off of our back. All right, any other items? Item 14, Mr. McBride, you're on.
Oh, well. I make a motion, we adjourn. And the time is 9:30.